What's up, aerospace enthusiasts? We've got some major developments across both the space and aviation industries this week, from significant policy discussions affecting launch providers to electric aircraft achieving new operational milestones. This update covers key industry movements. I'm Eric Hillsberg, and welcome to On the Radar. The aerospace industry moves fast, and with so much happening globally, it's easy to miss the aerospace stories that matter. That's why I created this series. First, a quick disclaimer. Many of the companies that I'm going to discuss in this series are customers of my employer, MathWorks. MathWorks makes MATLAB and Simulink, and I'm the product manager for the aerospace products. The content on this channel does not reflect the views of my employers, past, present, or future, and I'm only going to provide publicly available information and stick to the facts. I've also linked news sources below if you want to dive deeper into any of the stories. Let's start with the recent developments in the launch services market. Following some recent online policy discussions, NASA officials have been engaging with alternative launch providers in order to expand their supplier base. This represents a strategic shift towards diversifying critical space transportation capabilities. The key players involved are Rocket Lab, Stoke Space, Blue Origin, and Sierra Space, probably others as well. Sierra Space's leadership has confirmed that NASA is actively seeking diversity in their launch providers. Their spaceplane program is working towards its planned flight later this year, but we'll get into that in a bit. The recent events highlighted the importance of having multiple pathways to the International Space Station. While initial statements suggested potential service disruptions in Dragon, the situation is stabilized, but it reinforced NASA's focus on developing redundant capabilities. So what are the current alternatives to get to the ISS? Well, let's take a look at the landscape. Starliner. Boeing's next flight is scheduled for 2026. NASA is still evaluating whether their crew is going to be on board following their previous mission. The program is going to work through some of these technical requirements, and we'll see how this develops. There's Dream Chaser, which I just mentioned. Sierra Space's cargo variant is approaching its first operational flight, and the crew version is still ongoing development. The program is showing technical promise, and we'll see how that develops. The last option that I know of is Soyuz. Options to buy seats are available, but we can only buy 3, which is going to limit crew capabilities. It also involves some complex political discussions with Russia. Let's examine some recent developments in the wider launch system landscape. New Glenn, Blue Origin's heavy lift rocket, has adjusted its 2025 flight schedule from the initially projected 8 down to 2 flights. The inaugural flight did occur in January, and the next flight is targeting August 15th at earliest, though it's likely to move into September. Electron, Rocket Lab completed their 65th and 66th launches, achieving 62 successes in that timeframe, for about a 95% success rate. The system's optimized for smaller 200 to 300 kilogram payloads to sun-synchronous orbit, and their Photon upper stage extends capabilities to lunar orbits. Then there's Neutron, their other rocket, which is a medium-lift vehicle. It's designed for 1,500 kilograms to LEO, and it remains on schedule for second half of 2025 operations. The system is targeting this growing demand for medium-class payloads that Falcon 9 has been targeting. There are some other launch vehicles like the ULA Vulcan and Ariane 6 that are operational, and they're going to contribute to this global launch capacity increase, but there's still an assessment that needs to be done on whether they're going to be able to meet this increased demand. Amazon's Kuiper project is continuing in its deployment phase. Their second operational launch is scheduled for Monday, June 16th, probably the day that you're going to be seeing this, and it's going to bring their constellation to 54 satellites. They have a long way to go with 81 more additional launches to reach their 3,200 satellite configuration. Service availability is targeted for late 2025 for some of their customers, and this will add another major player to the broadband constellation market. The proposed 2026 federal budget significantly changes NASA's Science and Technology Mission Directorate. Nearly 50% reductions are proposed. The Planetary Society has identified 41 missions that are probably affected by this. Earth science programs would see a 53% funding reduction, and several Mars-focused missions including MAVEN, Mars Sample Return, and Draco nuclear propulsion development are going to see cuts. The budget does allocate funding for continued Mars exploration through lander development and life support systems, and Congress does make final determinations. The Senate Commerce Committee is expected to play a key role in this process. Shifting to aviation developments, there were some recent executive orders that have removed restrictions on supersonic flights over land, potentially benefiting companies like Boom Aerospace and others in the supersonic transport sector. Additionally, new policies are supporting advanced air mobility through beyond visual line of sight operations. Following the policy changes, Archer Aviation secured $850 million of new funding. They've completed their first piloted flight of Midnight aircraft in a conventional takeoff and landing configuration, with VTOL testing still continuing. The company was selected as the air taxi partner for the 2028 LA Olympics, and their test pilots are currently evaluating the flight controls, stability, and aerodynamics in the aim of certification. Vertical Aerospace, the UK-based company, completed their CTOL testing in late May recently. Their transition testing from wingborne to VTOL flight is scheduled for later this year. Beta Technologies, with their Elias CX-300, achieved a significant milestone in electric aviation, being the first fully electric aircraft to operate in a New York City airport. They carried 1 pilot and 4 passengers, and the flight demonstrated a 95% operation cost reduction compared to traditional helicopters, $7 versus $160 in fuel cost. There are some operational context differences between these aircraft, and we'll see how this develops as we see eVTOL versions make these flights. Beta Technologies projects that their FAA type certification of the CTOL aircraft will happen by the end of 2025, and following the completion of their US demonstration tour and other operations in Ireland and the UK, their founder Kyle Clark is going to personally demonstrate the aircraft at the Paris Air Show in late June. After Paris, the tour is going to continue through Germany and Denmark before final delivery into Norway to Bristow for a 6-month operational trial. Air New Zealand also expects that their CX-300 is going to be delivered later this year in late September or early October. The eVTOL variant, the A250, is projected for late 2027, and they think that certification is probably going to be made easier with a 75% part share between this and the CTOL. The European Advanced Air Mobility Strategy appears to be shifting from urban air mobility to regional air mobility. Recent industry developments, including Lilium's restructuring and Volocopter's ownership changes, suggest the market may be finding different optimal applications for electric aviation technology. The region's extensive rail infrastructure may make regional CTOL and STOL electric aviation more commercially viable than the urban VTOL competitors. The aerospace industry is experiencing significant structural changes from both space and aviation. In space transportation, we're seeing expanded competition and supplier diversification, and in aviation, electric flight is transitioning from development over to operation, and real economic benefits are becoming measurable. What are your thoughts on these industry developments? Are you more interested in how the space transportation market is evolving, or are you more interested in aviation's electrification progress? Let me know below, and subscribe if you want to stay current on the aerospace industry development trends. See you next time.